What do you do when you're feeling stuck and unclear? It's simple. You project, then you move.
Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your Reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create.
Not too long ago, I packed up my bags, all my things, my whole life, and I moved out of the city. I've been wanting to move for a long time, years in fact. My friends probably got really tired of me whining about how I wanted to move, I wanted to leave, because I could never tell them where. They'd be like, okay, where do you want to go? And I'd say, I don't know, somewhere, anywhere but here. And they just stare back at me and we'd move on with the conversation until it came back up again in another conversation. Now, even though I was sure I wanted to go somewhere, I didn't know where. It's not like there was some dream location calling my name. I just knew where I wasn't it anymore. Now, while I didn't know where I wanted to go, I knew why. It was this feeling of stuckness, and maybe you can identify. I felt stuck in the mud of my life, stuck in the rut of making the same decisions, going to the same places, and doing the same things in the same way. And every time I asked myself the question, Joy, because I'm a coach and I coach myself sometimes, I was like, okay, Joy, if this continues for the next year and everything stays the same, will you be okay with it? And I'd have this mini meltdown on the inside of myself every time I asked myself that question, because the answer was no way. No, I'll lose it if this keeps on going like it is. That's what 2022 felt like in many ways. I had so much internal churn to move, to do differently, and I didn't. So when it came, when I rolled into 2023, I was feeling so deflated from the non-moves that I'd done the year before, because I'd asked that question at the end of 2021 about 2022, and I'd gotten my answer then. But I made no moves, and it had happened. A year of sameness and what felt like non-growth and all that had just unfolded, and I was just couldn't take it anymore. I was feeling lost. So I stopped. And if you were around for episode 51 from scratch and for episode 52 called What to Do When You Feel Lost, I took a month-long hiatus from the podcast and really many things in my life. I just stopped. To get my head around things. And it worked in many ways. I came back and I was refreshed and ready to move. Because even though I wasn't feeling so lost anymore, there was still this sense of stuckness and needing to move. So I did it. I eventually did it. I packed it all up and I moved. And the moving has done a different thing for me than just stopping did, early in the year. And if you're feeling stuck and unclear, I think this is going to help you. What this experience and others like this has shown me is that when I'm feeling stuck and unclear, there are two things I can do. One, project, and then move. By project, I mean project out into the future. Think out into the future. And I do this a lot. That question I said at the beginning, that question of if it's a year from now and things are exactly the same, and you're in the same place, how are you going to feel? And if I do that and I feel this quiet, the scream of desperation rise up, I know it's time to move. And so I want you to ask yourself that question. That's the great question to ask, to project out. If everything stays the same a year from now, how will I feel? Now, the answer for you when you're just like, okay, no, this is not going to work, I need to move. It may not be a physical move like it was for me, but it may mean moving in other ways. Maybe it's time to move on from that job, or it's time to move out of that project, or there's just so many different things, right? That you may be feeling stuck in, that it's time to move, whatever it is for you. Moving is what it's going to take to get unstuck. And I know you may be thinking, okay, this is kind of circular. I already know I'm stuck, and part of isn't the fact that I'm stuck because I can't move and you're telling me to move to get unstuck. I don't understand. But bear with me. A lot of times why we're stuck is because we think we need a clear plan before we can move. And that's what's keeping us stuck. Like you listen to podcasts, you're looking for the thing like, okay, I'm feeling stuck. I need the plan, the thing that's going to motivate me, all of that stuff. And you feel like what you don't know is what's holding you back. But this isn't the problem. This isn't the reason that you're stuck in the first place. You're not stuck because you lack clarity of what to do next. You're stuck because you won't accept that your stuckness is a sign that you've overstayed where you are. You've overstayed your welcome. You've kept your braids in too long. If you know, you know. Your stuckness is a sign that whatever you're doing now is done. It's complete. That's why when you project out into the future and imagine still being and doing the same thing that you're doing right now, you want to scream. All that means is that this thing here is done. And that is information. Your stuckness it's just information, and it's just information that you need. And it's actually all the information that you need. You don't need the next step. You don't need the plan. You just need to know and accept that this right here, right now is done. That's it. Now, quick caveat. Sometimes you can project out and really think about things staying the same. And your answer is, well, I don't know. Things may not be so bad. I don't think I'll feel too bad if things are the same. If that's you, then stay where you are. You're not stuck at all. You're exactly where you want to be. You've just told yourself a should story about wanting to move and being stuck that's not even yours. Maybe you think you should be, and you should be doing differently because that's what others are doing, or that's what they say you should be and want to be moving and all that sort of stuff. Or people are passing, quote unquote, passing you by, and you feel like you're not moving, and so you feel like you're stuck. But if you really think out for yourself, or you project out and you're like, but I'm actually fine, then sit with that. Maybe you're content where you are, and this is the time for you to be where you are. So embrace that fully. It's time to embrace that fully. If you project out and you're pretty good with where you are, being where you are again in another year or more, embrace it. But if you don't, you know what time it is. But knowing you need to move doesn't mean you're going to make the big move tomorrow. There's something called a pre-move. A pre-move looks like you starting to make the changes that will make it easier and smoother for you when you are ready, when all the things align for you to make the move. And remember, this is not about setting up a plan, right? Because that's also what sort of like keeps us in the churn, because you're like, I feel stuck. I need a plan. No, you feel stuck. All you need that to be is information that you're done with where you are now. And now it's time to do pre-moves, which you do without a plan of knowing where you're going next. So for me, that was spending a year of decluttering paper and changing my relationship to paper. I kid you not. I knew I wanted to move, and I was like, okay, well, when I move, I don't want to move with all this documents, all this paper and stuff. And so I started scanning and trashing paper and really completely changing my relationship to all this paper and all these documents. That was my pre-move. I didn't know where I was going. I kind of had a sense of when, but I did not let that keep me in inaction. I was like, okay, these are some things that I got to do for when the move happens. Let me start decluttering. And a pre-move for you, let's say you know that you're done with a job. You're feeling stuck. You think about it, you project out a year and you're like, I'm gonna like hurt somebody or hurt myself if I'm still here. Okay, then your time is done. It's done. It's complete. Start the pre-move. Start preparing, right? So that might be you organizing your files and emails, starting to get the materials together for your work portfolio so that you have the evidence for all the fabulous work that you've done. It may mean starting to get into that posture of, okay, how can I share the story of the work that I've been doing to my next employer and start doing it now, or my future partners? It's getting into that mindset even before you know where you're going, even before you have a plan of where to go. You start packing your things, tidying up, decluttering, getting the boxes together. Shedding the dead weight that you don't want to carry with you. because action is what's going to bring clarity, not the other way around. We often confuse the two. So getting to that action, getting into that motion, that pre-move. Yeah. And I think that essentially pre-move is preparation. There just is no other way to get unstuck than to peer down the barrel of your future, imagined future, and see it staring back at you and it being exactly as you left it, exactly as it is right now, and freaking out and then being like, okay, let me start packing my bags. And if a year isn't enough to get you moving, try 10 years. I shared this in episode 63 because these questions are what I've been asking myself recently, and it's what's been lighting a fire under me. And I hope it does for you too. Because if we're not careful, we can faff around and a whole decade will go by. So the question is, if I look out 10 years from now, if everything is exactly the same, how will I feel? And if you're like, it's time to start preparing, right? Or 10 years from now, what will I want to accomplish? Or 10 years from now, what will I look back and wish I had done every single day for the last 10 years? And you sit with those questions and you see how it feels, right? Now, the other thing to know is that, even my own move to this new city is actually a pre-move, even though I did move, right? I knew I needed to move to build momentum, but I didn't allow this idea of like, is this the ultimate city? Is this the ultimate place that I want to be? I didn't let that leave me and get me stuck because I know myself. I know I can stall. I know I can play games. I know I can not make a move because of fear and perfectionism. So I had to tell myself, you know what? You can always move back. Just go out there, try it, explore, give it a shot. Don't let the sense that this is a final move, a final choice make you think that you have to make the most perfect decision. It's not. And that's the benefit of really looking at your decisions and remembering that most of them are reversible or changeable. You get to change your mind. You get to make a different choice. And whatever experience you get from making a move will yield valuable lessons that will be yours and that you can use and that you can leverage if you choose to. And a lot of times we feel stuck because we've made a choice that we feel like we can't unmake right now. Sometimes that's the source of our sense of stuckness. We're like, oh, I did this. I already bought this ice cream, and of course everything for me is ice cream. I already bought this ice cream. I've taken a couple licks and I don't really like it. I have to finish it. And it's like, no, you can change your mind. You can be like, oh, I don't like this. You can ask for another one. If they're like, sorry, you can throw it in the trash. You can make another choice. You can make another decision. You're not stuck. So something else that's come out of this act of projecting and then moving for me is more creating. Being in a new environment, having a new place to be and things to learn and finding my new ice cream spots. All of that is helping to unlock my creativity in a new way. And I've gotten into a more regular rhythm of creating and even creating with this podcast. And I have a new and deeper level of commitment than I ever had to with it before, just because I've shaken up my space, shaken up my environment, and decided to make a move. And I still don't have a big grand plan, so to speak, right? I don't have the plan. I don't have the ultimate clarity of where this thing is going. I'm still losing sight of my shore. But I don't have to. I don't need it. And you don't either. Being willing to project out and then make a move or prepare to make a move, even that has given me the gift of creating more, even without this grand master plan that we're all looking for. And what more can I ask for than that? So I hope you'll try this on for size. If you're feeling stuck and unclear, try it on. Project out. Imagine things being the exact same a year from now or a decade from now and see how that feels. And then dare to make some pre-moves. Dare to make some preparation. Start packing things up. Start decluttering. Start doing the things that you're going to have to do anyway if you suddenly get the exact roadmap in your hand. Which is not going to happen. But start doing the things that you're going to have to do anyway when it's time to move, even if you don't know where you're going. Because it's better to be prepared when the opportunity hits than to start preparing when it's already upon you. And then move. Move, 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 move knowing that you get to change your mind. Move knowing that this is not the only choice you'll ever have. Move knowing that it's easier to move and redirect a moving object than a stationary one. Move knowing that it will likely unlock your creating power and reinvigorate you to create more if you let it. So move. If you know you're ready to get unstuck and clear, then make this move. Reach out and book a Reframe session with me. Make that your pre-move, and we'll move you one step closer to your ultimate move of liberating your work, getting paid to be you, and creating a life you love. See you soon, Creating Maven. Until then, remember to always ask yourself, what will I create?